guys, welcome back to another video. We have some updates here for the Xbox Activision Blizzard acquisition. It's been a little bit quiet over the last week or so. Recently, we had left off on some pushback from the US government into looking to the anti-competitive nature of Sony, specifically in Japan, not allowing other companies to really get in there to get pieces of the market. I mean, there is Nintendo, there is Sony. Microsoft has a very hard time. So they wanted to look at why Microsoft has such a hard time, and are there any anti-competitive practices that is stopping Microsoft from being able to gain a foothold in Japan. Now we have an actual letter that has been written to Sony from Senator Kevin Kramer. He says, I sent Sony Corporation a letter regarding this anti-competitive behavior and to request information on the company's acquisition agreements. And here is the letter. So let's just read through it. Let's read through what Kevin Kramer says here. This is directed to Mr. Kenichiro Yoshida, the chairman, president, and chief executive officer at Sony. He says, Dear Mr. Yoshida, I write to express concerns about Sony's efforts to protect its gaming console business from competition. For more than 20 years, Sony has utterly dominated the gaming console market as that market has been defined by the Federal Trade Commission. I am concerned Sony's dominance of that market and its efforts to perpetuate its current position imperils an important economic development opportunity for North Dakota. Therefore, I write to request more information about Sony's anti-competitive business practices. So he's calling them out. He's saying he wants to see these documents. He wants to see if they can find anything within these documents to see if they are taking part in any anti-competitive practices. And as we know, PlayStation takes part in a lot of deals, third-party deals, timed exclusivity, making sure games just don't release on Xbox. Now, would these be considered anti-competitive? I think it would obviously have to be looked at strictly from like a law perspective, from a market perspective, because third-party deals, the timed exclusivity deals, all of the companies do it, but it just really seems like, especially this generation right now, that everything that's going on, Sony really doubles down on those things. And it really seems like they are making sure that certain games just do not release on the Xbox platform to give them a big advantage. Like for Final Fantasy 16, we saw the gameplay trailer yesterday. The game looks absolutely incredible, would sell very well on Xbox. Believe it or not, I know people out there are going to say it wouldn't, but it absolutely would sell extremely well on the Xbox platform. And Sony entered into these deals with Square Enix to make sure that nobody except for PlayStation 5 players are going to be able to play this game, at least at launch. We know that it will be coming out on PC at a later date, probably will never be coming out on Xbox, similar to Final Fantasy 7 Remake, but maybe there's stuff within those deals that could be deemed anti-competitive. So if these documents do get released, there could be a lot of information that comes out from it. Continues on here and says, as you know, gaming is a large and rapidly growing economic sector. A recent Accenture study estimated the gaming industry generated revenues of over $200 billion in 2021, and it remains on track to grow by over 20% on an annualized basis. To prepare North Dakotans for careers in the burgeoning industry and other technology fields, North Dakota has developed a strategy to lead the nation in computer science and cybersecurity education to organically grow the next generation of technology professionals. Preparing students for careers in gaming is an important component of this effort. This includes the 14 North Dakota high schools and universities participating in the competitive esports revolution by instituting competitive gaming programs. Last year, the University of North Dakota became one of the first U.S. higher education institutions to offer a Bachelor of Science degree in esports, providing students with a career path to the video game industry. So I'm not sure how much that paragraph has to do with the actual Xbox Activision Blizzard acquisition, but maybe getting to the fact that they don't want the industry to be stifled from anti-competitive practices from Sony specifically, so that all of these people in North Dakota that are going through education to get into gaming are going to have an opportunity once they actually graduate. It says here, these investments are already showing their worth. Video gaming in the state produces an economic impact of more than 20.6 million statewide and accounts for an estimated 221 jobs, according to the Entertainment Software Association. As gaming increasingly moves to mobile platforms, those numbers are set to grow dramatically. North Dakota projects approximately a 14% increase in technology job openings over the next 10 years and estimates 6,320 new and replacement technology jobs will be needed in North Dakota over the next decade to support the growing tech industry. Given the growing significance of the gaming industry to North Dakota, I'm troubled by the reports Sony appears to leverage its dominance to exclude competition rather than enabling choice for players and developers. And That's calling them straight out. And it actually has a link, number 8 here, to a footnote. And they're referencing a Verge article where they're talking about Microsoft, Sony, FTC, Activision blocking rights exclusivity. So an article about rights being blocked for games to come out on certain platforms, which is obviously something that would hinder the job market, would hinder the gaming market. If it's not coming out on Xbox, it directly affects the United States. That's 100%, because Xbox is a very powerful brand in the United States. If it doesn't come out on Xbox in Japan, it's probably not that big of a deal because not enough people play games in Japan on Xbox. So if PlayStation is blocking and shrinking the Xbox brand, it will directly affect certain jobs in the North American markets, or in the industry in the North American market, more than other places. It says, according to published reports, Sony controls over 68% of the global market for gaming consoles and a shocking 98% of the Japanese market. Now, to be fair, we look at these numbers, and let's say documents do come out and it shows Sony has partaken in tons of anti-competitive stuff. We got to be realistic about what has happened over the last couple of or at least over the Xbox One generation. Sony capitalized on bad moves by Xbox because the 360 was a very successful generation. And I think if Xbox would have continued with the focus on video games and gamers for the announcement and launch of the Xbox One, and given a better product and not trying to, they were just way too ahead of the curve with the Xbox One. If they would have just stuck to gaming, I think Xbox right now, although they aren't in a bad spot, would be significantly in a better spot. And the control that PlayStation has would be much smaller. I think the Xbox One was a big misstep, and they're trying to gain that back here with the Xbox Series X and S. And I know there's been a lot of outrage over the last week or so because of Redfall, but believe it or not, Xbox is doing a very good job of gaining back a part of the market that they had lost with the Xbox One generation. And I'm gonna stick to my estimations. I'm gonna stick to my predictions. That's the word I was looking for. My prediction that over the next 10 years or so, specifically in the markets where Xbox has a good presence, has a strong presence, I think Xbox is going to potentially overtake PlayStation at some point because they were first to cloud, at least have a good, desirable cloud service, a good and desirable subscription service, and they are investing so much into Xbox Game Pass, again, like with the Activision Blizzard acquisition, with Bethesda, with all of the cloud technology that they're investing in. They are investing so much into a shifting market that is going towards that, and they're doing it the best. They were doing it first, and I think PlayStation is lagging behind significantly, which is one of the main reasons why they do not want this deal to go through, because it will make it harder for them to catch up to Xbox when it comes to subscription and cloud gaming. I just think that's the way the industry is going, whether we like it or not. And I think Xbox does have a significant advantage with that. Continues here and says, increasingly, it appears Sony's dominance is attributable to exclusionary practices, including paying game publishers not to distribute their games on rival platforms. Again, Final Fantasy, Square Enix. I would love documents to come out just to literally see the deals that they have made with Square Enix, and specifically what they say about keeping games off of Xbox, keeping games off of other platforms. It says here, Sony's anti-competitive conduct has also included lobbying the FTC and competition regulators abroad to oppose Microsoft's proposed acquisition of Activision, a transaction many legal and gaming industry experts believe would promote a more competitive gaming market. Even more troubling is the fact Sony's lobbying of the FTC and other regulators began shortly after Sony itself acquired Bungie, another major gaming competitor. Sony's efforts to block this transaction apparently includes a refusal to accept an agreement that fully addresses its concerns and would expand consumers' access to games. Obviously, specifically here talking about the 10-year deals for Call of Duty and for the Activision catalog. And we always talk about the 10-year deal. It literally is not just for Call of Duty. It is actually for Activision catalog of games. And when we were reading through the CMA documents, Microsoft's response, they even said they are willing to put Call of Duty into PlayStation Plus day and date, the same time as they would be putting it into Xbox Game Pass. So it wouldn't even give Xbox an advantage with Xbox Game Pass and Call of Duty. They would be willing to actually negotiate and put that game into the PlayStation Plus service. So Sony is just literally just doesn't want this deal to go through, even though there are deals on the table for them that will be beneficial to them. They obviously don't want the deal to go through because, hey, they know even if they're getting these games, they're still paying their direct rival who is coming up behind them faster than they expected, tons of money every single year for Activision and for Call of Duty games. And again, it's right now we talk about this. There are going to be people out there who are thinking that people were thinking Xbox was dying because of Redfall, which was completely absurd. But Xbox they're coming in strong, even with a lot of the missteps that they have been making. And it's because at the end of the day, the reality of the situation is Twitter, social media, the enthusiasts like myself and people watching this video, that's not where the majority of the market is, where Xbox is going to be making all the money, where PlayStation makes all the money. It's going to be for the person out there who has a console and they just want to play games. They don't follow everything within the gaming industry. That's where the majority of their money is coming from. And then also expanding out to like things like mobile and making sure games are available across multiple different devices. So Sony sees the writing on the wall, and that's why they need this deal to be stopped. Now, it continues here. It says Sony's conduct hurts American consumers by leading to higher prices and reduced choice. Importantly, it also constrains economic opportunities for developers, including for small and independent developers. To assure transparency regarding how Sony conducts its business, I ask you please provide unredacted copies of the following information. 1. All agreements that provide Sony with an exclusive right to distribute a game developed by an independent publisher. All agreements between Sony and a game publisher that prevent the publisher from distributing its games on rivals, subscription, and streaming services. All internal company documents describing the strategic rationale for Sony's acquisition of Bungie. And all correspondence with any U.S. federal or state government or regulatory agency relating to competition in the video game industry. Please respond in writing along with the requested information no later than May 1st, 2023. Thank you for your prompt attention to this important matter. So 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks or whatever for a response is what this letter is asking for. Now, and the stuff that they are asking for here is basically kind of the stuff that the CMA, the FTC, the EU were looking at Microsoft for. They're looking at Microsoft and seeing how is this deal going to affect cloud and streaming services? How is it going to give them an anti-competitive advantage in these areas? And now the tables are turning as Senator Kramer here wants to see how PlayStation uses tactics to be anti-competitive. So we'll see what happens. I mean, this could literally, again, the hard thing with this stuff is it could literally just be political posturing to satisfy the fact that Microsoft is an American company and to show that they're standing up for an American company versus a Japanese company. It could be just something along those lines, and maybe nothing comes out of this. Maybe no documents come out and we get no more information, but at least they're doing something to kind of combat what Sony is doing as they come and they try to block a major acquisition that's going to help an American company gain in an industry that they are currently behind in. I mean, that's at the end of the day, that's what it is, because obviously Sony being a Japanese company. So it's very interesting stuff here. We'll see what happens. And if this deal with the FTC does go all the way to court on August 2nd, we may get some more documents out of that there as well. So I'll leave the video there, guys. Let me know what you think about this. Do you think this letter is going to create any more information for us to see? Do you think Sony will actually respond and give documents, or do you think this is just political posturing and nothing is going to come out of this? If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up. If you're new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.